Are we live, producer Ross?
I think so.
Are we on the internet? Hello.
Hello.
Stuart Watson and Alex Jones, New Ipswich Town reporter alongside me here in Austria. I'm just going to come to the side a little bit and show you our surroundings. We are how many miles south of Vienna?
Oh, God, it's quite a way, isn't it? I'm not sure what it is off the top of my head. It's been a couple of long taxi drives. So
Yeah, a pricey taxi that I think maybe we got stung for going from the airport, having compared some Uber prices. But we're here. I think we're about 15, 20 kilometres south of Vienna. Nice early flight for us this morning. And it is absolutely roasting, isn't it?
Yeah. I don't think that we could have asked for much hotter weather. I think every time I checked the forecast kind of building up to this weekend, it kind of went 32, 33, 34, saw 35 yesterday. I'd say we're probably looking, 33, 34 is the estimates that you've gone with. So
currently, yeah, I mean, the mercury is rising and it's going to be even hotter come kickoff. It is now, is that local time on the clock? It's now 10 to 2 local time here. So 10 to 1 for you guys back home in the UK. Kickoff is 4 p.m. here, 3 o'clock for you guys. So by the time that comes around, it's going to be hot for those players out there. Ipswich have already played a game this morning as well. Different, not going to be the same set of players. Obviously, that would be a bit much to ask. But they've had a game this morning at the training base.
Yeah, and a good 2-1 win. I mean, there's always positives when you can have two players like Marcus Harnes and
Shawnee Aluko.
Shawnee Aluko as the two scorers. Which, I mean, it's difficult always to gauge these kind of friendlies, isn't it? That's why I feel when it's kind of international opponents, you're kind of building up how difficult the opponents are. This seems to be an interesting test, and the team that are in the second tier, but obviously have been successful in the past. And you know what? I think one of the big attractions, obviously, is something nice for the fans as well, isn't it? It's somewhere that Kieran McKenna's wanted to be for quite a while. So just have everyone out in Austria to give something for the fans.
Yeah, first foreign trip for Ipswich since, that first summer following relegation from the Championship, Germany, under Paul Lambert. And then, of course, a little thing called COVID came along. And last year they thought about going abroad. They wanted to go to Austria. And I think all things considered, what was going on in the world with Ukraine and everything as well, they decided to stay local and play the usual local friendlies. But finally, we're back on foreign soil with Ipswich Town. As you say, McKenna has been to Austria, I think, several times with Manchester United youth teams in the past. It's somewhere he obviously knows and likes. Their training base this week has been to the north of Austria. It's been right on the border of the Czech Republic by the looks of things. And that's where that game this morning was played, at the training base. Technically behind closed doors, but having seen some of the goal footage that's been put out, it seems like there was a fair few there. I think there was a coach load of Trnava fans that had made it down from Slovakia or across. Check my European geography there.
Yeah,
but it seemed like quite a few.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's better than playing with no one there, I suppose. It gives them a little bit of reason to play at their best. But it looked like they had a couple of nice goals in there as well. I mean, the first Aluko strike looked like quite a nice finish, kind of the way it nestled in.
Yeah.
One of the things I was pointing out to Ross when we were in the taxi is how nice the goal sounds as it just kind of ripples into the net.
Swish.
This is a big thing for me, is this kind of like the traditional things. The noise as it like comes off the post or just kind of comes into the net and you have that. That's what you want.
Yeah.
That's what I love. Yeah, we've got some comments coming in.
I'm just retweeting us now, actually, to make sure people know we're live. Yeah, so we can only tell you what the club have reported from that game this morning, which is the fact that Shawnee Aluko, as you've alluded to, scored the first goal very early on in that game, 4th minute. Nice Nathan Broadhead run, looking at the footage of that, driving run at the box, lays it off, Shawnee sweeps it in. Nice curling effort into the net. And then I haven't seen the second goal. I don't know if they've put that footage online yet, but it sounds like a real good solo effort from Marcus Harnes. Beats 2 men in his own half and then charges the length of the pitch and scores. So I'm looking forward to seeing that one.
Yeah, I mean, this is what you want, isn't it? You want the wingers to be involved, and I think the fact that you've got Nathan Broadhead and Aluko kind of combining, one of the things we picked up quite a bit is the way how Broadhead on the left kind of cuts inside. He wants to play the kind of narrow role. It's what McKenna likes. and kind of having him combined with the wings, having Harness score as well with that solo goal. I think it's getting a lot of what McKenna wants to see from this team this season. There's obviously always pressure on strikers to score goals, especially with George Hurst coming in, although he's not here today. But I think just getting the attacking players up to scratch, kind of making sure that they feel confident in front of goal. These are the kind of games where they're going to kind of build confidence up going into the season.
Yeah, Harness has stood out for me in the 2 pre-season games so far. Where have we been? We've been to Felixstowe for the first one, and then Maidenhead at Needham in the second, and he felt like potentially a bit of a fringe player as Ipswich stepped up to the Championship. He played a lot of games last year. I think he was involved either as a starter or off the bench in pretty much every league game, but he's not a name that rolls off the tongue when you look back on that promotion campaign because of what Nathan Broad did coming in from January. But in pre-season so far, I'm not sure what position he would have played today, but I'm assuming it would have been more of that central number 10 role with Broadhead in that side, who you would imagine would have been that sort of tucked-in left-sider, and maybe that's where he's better suited to. Maybe he'll be the kind of the backup to Connor Chaplin. That seems to be, as the squad stands, his kind of natural role, the man that will step in for Chaplin in that number 10 position, because Shawnee Aluko's kind of played that right-sider role in the friendlies thus far. I mean, it's difficult to say, isn't it, because there are players still to come into the building, and that will change everything. But for 3 games in so far, I don't think Marcus Harness could have done much more to sort of help his chances.
Yeah, versatility is a big thing. We've seen it with a lot of players. We've seen it with Don Ball, for example, dropping at centre-back. It will benefit Harness, and it'll benefit a lot of the squad. I think you kind of have that flexible edge to them. And I think another thing that stands out is that there are players who have a point to prove in stepping up to the Championship. I think that you look at Freddie Ladapo, for example, who's really been determined to get on with the goals so far in pre-season. It's 3-2.
Yeah.
And I think we will probably be expecting him to be out on this one this afternoon to see if he can build on that. And I think that he's one of the few, like Harness, who maybe are thinking, oh, wow, step up. There might be some new bodies coming through the door. This is a chance for me to prove that I'm able to be the guy to start in these games. I think that's going to be a really important thing. And I think that's maybe one of the benefits of having so many pre-season games as well. I was kind of looking at it thinking it's quite heavy with a lot of the travelling they're doing, a lot of the games they're doing in terms of going to Austria, coming back, going to Preston, double header with Cambridge and Stevenage, the midweek in Colchester against Luton, then coming back again. It's quite heavy, isn't it? But I think it just gives everyone a chance, A, to get up to speed, and B, to show Kieran McKenna why they deserve to be in that team for Sunderland and beyond.
Yeah. Just to sort of cap the game this morning, it finished 2-1. Trnava did pull a goal back in the second half through a mistake at the back. That's all we know thus far. We don't know who the culprit is, whether that was a bit of passing out from the back that went awry. Don't know if there was any Ipswich fans who sneaked into that game. I know they've posted a picture of a couple of foreign-based Ipswich fans that were allowed into that game. So I don't know if we'll find out any more on that one. But that finished 2-1. We've got some comments coming in there, Alex. I'm going to get the team up from this morning's game, and then we can, I think, pretty much work out who we're going to be seeing here off the basis of that. But I don't know if you want to take a few comments while I get
let's
the team
have
up.
a look through. I don't want to press anything wrong here, so I hope it's going to be okay. Praise the new king. Thank you very much. I've got my crown on today. Oh, my hair looks awful without it on. There you go, the KOA cap, KOA crown, which I was coronated with on the first pod that I did. So
you need it today.
I thought it would be a good idea to rock it today, bring the KOA merch out. It's a little bit small on me, to be honest, but you know what? I'm a big fan, and you know where you can get those. What else have we got? Any news on the loan to Baggett Camarota situation with Piggott, guys? As far as I'm aware, I think it's just as things are.
Yeah,
as things were with that one.
Yeah, obviously that was after the last game against Maidstone. We spoke to Kieran McKenna after the game about those 3. Joe Piggott in talks with the club about his future. It doesn't take much to read between the lines that's heading the way of a Rakeem Harper situation if they can come to an agreement that's beneficial for all parties. I don't have the absolute latest on that, but it's pretty clear which direction that's heading in at the moment. And we know that both Elkan Baggett and Panucci Kamara are available for loans. Sheffield Wednesday reportedly interested in Panucci Kamara. I saw came out yesterday, which would be interesting if Ipswich were to consider loaning him to a championship rival. Depends how competitive, whether you think they're going to be competing in the same area of the table as Ipswich next season. I mean, all doesn't seem particularly well at Sheffield Wednesday at the moment, with the way that the Darren Moore sacking played out and the owner, and then you've got the new manager being announced, and they're spending most of that press conference talking about comments from Colton Palmer, wasn't it? Which is all very bizarre there, and they still haven't made any kind of signings of note. So is that the right club for him to go to? It's a big club. It'd be Championship level. That's if indeed there is bona fide interest from the Sheffield Wednesday, and we need to look into that one a little bit more. So all questions for Kieran after this game, as ever.
Yeah, I think it'll be an interesting one with him. I think from my perspective, I'd be looking down at League One. You don't want to be loaning out to rivals, not in your first season back in the Championship from my eyes. And, having come up with Sheffield Wednesday, I think that League One, I mean, there are some options. Hopefully we'll have a piece out on that I've done for next week on where those two could end up, hoping that neither of them end up anywhere before it goes out.
You've picked out a few clubs that you think might be good fits for those two. Do you want to?
Should we have a little run?
Do you want to give a little exclusive to the people watching here?
Let's see.
Where did you place Pan?
So we had a few with them. With him, sorry. One of them was the Argyle one. Kind of makes sense, doesn't it? Again, if you're looking at the Championship thing, maybe not. I think Oxford's an interesting team for next season. They could be looking for a midfielder. There are a couple of injury bits there. Could Cameron Brannigan finally move on after years of speculation? Peterborough's another interesting one, obviously, because of the Jack Taylor thing. Now, they have got another player in Archie Collins who came in from Exeter City, but could they be looking for something in return? A little bit extra in return? Maybe something like that.
Interesting. I'll run you through the team from this morning. It was Hlacki in goal, Donatian, Wolfenden, Evans, it looks like, played centre-half, so continuing this theme of pre-season with a holding midfielder. Dominic Ball has been in the first two games, with Lee Evans today playing at the back. Now, that might be because of the shortage of centre-halves at the moment. Needs must, as the PA comes into force. Or it might be something that sort of a style of play thing. We'd noticed that it's always been a flexible, fluid system under Kieran McKenna, but it seems even more fluid. They've tried out a few different things with Leif Davis, notably sort of coming inside and playing this kind of inverted fullback that's very much in vogue at the moment. It creates spaces. It creates spaces that, and then it was Taylor, Cameron Humphreys have both done it. They start in that deeper midfield role, but they're being encouraged to join the 10. And it creates that sort of boxy midfield situation where then one of those centre halves can step out into the space. Dominic Ball did it, and I imagine Lee Evans did that this morning. So that's interesting. Davis at left back, Luongo, Humphreys, Aluko, Harness, Broadhead, and Caden Jackson up front. A couple of youngsters stepped off the bench. Carr and Ayinde, and Elkan Baggott came on in the second half as well. We're talking about him going out on loan. So I think we could probably deduce what the starting 11 is, from given who played there.
Yeah, it'd be good to see. I mean, as I've kind of alluded to, Freddie Ladapo is one who I think will benefit from this run out today, assuming that he gets into the team. Jack Taylor's another one who will be hopefully in the frame today. Connor Chaplin. All players who are expected to play a big part next season. It's not necessarily a case of them needing to prove themselves. It's more for them to get up to fitness. They're going to be important players for town next season. Yeah. We know that. And these are the games, as I said, these are the games where they're going to need that fitness built up. And I mean, I think they just need to kind of get the frustration out a little bit. It's one of the things I pointed out last week with Connor Chaplin, for example. You can just see he's kind of working his way back into things. He's obviously going to be such an important player for town. He's taking these shots on, getting a little bit frustrated. He had that one from the halfway line, pretty much. Last week, just getting a little bit kind of annoyed that he's not hitting the goals quite as easily as he was in League One. But this is how you kind of build it up, isn't it?
It's very hard to judge pre-seasons because I've seen enough of them where they go really well and it doesn't translate into a good start. And I've seen the opposite. I saw Ipswich lose 6-0, 6-1 at Charlton leading into a season, and then they won all their games in August. So off the back of that under Mick McCarthy. So I don't know if the results necessarily mean everything, but I think you can get a feel from individuals and performances. And I always think back to 2014, and Daryl Murphy came back that summer, and I went away to Ireland and just thought, wow, you look like a beast this summer. Something's changed in you. A switch has flicked somewhere, and he obviously went on to score 27 goals that season. And you're just looking for some signs of players that are ready to go up a level. Like you say, Freddie the Dapo's got 3 goals thus far this pre-season. He's now seen George Hurst return this week. George won't be here today. They've decided, I assume, to let him sort of get himself settled. He'll have life admin to sort out now. He's signed a 4-year deal and everything, so he's not here today. So Freddie will probably be thinking, another chance for me to get a goal or two this afternoon. Just to remind people, I got quite a few goals myself last season, and to be fair to him, had a decent little goal record for Rotherham in a struggling Rotherham side that went down. I think he scored 9 goals that season, which is not to be sniffed at. So a man who might have a little bit of hunger in him this afternoon.
Yeah. Should we have a look at a few more comments while we're at it? Keep going. We've got some here.
One to you.
I'm terrified.
Rob Hughes asks Alex, who's going to finish higher, Ipswich or Millwall?
Ipswich.
No hesitation.
No hesitation here at all. I think that I can put on a very analytical head here, can't I? I think that at the end of the day, it's a club that's kind of filled with positivity here at Town after last season. And I think that the way Millwall ended last season, I think was quite a kick below the belt with that kind of final day match against Blackburn. So I'm not sure if we've got any of my Millwall contingents watching this that might be unfollowing me on Twitter as we speak. But it's obviously been quite a difficult summer for Millwall as well, with passing owner John Berylson. So it's one of those I really have to wish them all the best, because I know a lot of people there, a lot of good friends and connections. I never got to meet John myself, but I know how important he was for that club, and I really hope that they can kick on. So maybe top 2, that'd be nice. And Ipswich, Millwall top 2.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure about that, but
might be a bit ambitious.
Yeah, we'll see Bartosz Białkowski come back with Millwall. I don't think he's quite the regular starter that he was for several years now.
Yeah, he's number 2 at Millwall now. George Long has come in and taken that place with a few whispers of Mark Travers, I think.
How early is that Millwall game? Is that?
It's a November game.
November,
the end of November,
so
and then at the Den on Valentine's Day.
We'll be there together.
Oh, yes.
You're my new work husband now. We get to spend
Yes.
Valentine's and all the big holidays together.
Exactly.
JG asked Tom Cannon, rumoured interest. Not one that I've seen yet. I don't know if that's floating around on social media. I think we might be having some connection problems from what people are saying here. Apologies if that's the case.
Lost our producer.
Producer Ross has wandered off. Classic
if we
Ross.
go off, then it's because we're on a hotspot that might be connected to us. I'm very concerned that might be he's just walked off.
Yeah.
So we reckon he's got
Get off shot and I'll pull you in.
Oh,
Right. Hello again. Ross, come and tell everyone why the last one just went down.
Yeah, I went for a wee, brought my phone with me, and it's hotspotting and connection.
Just walked off with the internet connection in his pocket. Off you go.
Okay, bye guys.
Come on. Right.
we swap sides.
We've swapped side. We need to get proper sides, like Ant and Dec. Me and Andy had sides. I can't quite remember which way round. Which felt better to you, this way or the
other
previous way?
I like the other way.
Let's go the other
Okay,
way.
we're swapping round.
Right, there we go.
Oh,
yeah, this feels better.
I
This
like
feels
this.
right, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Okay, this is
we're
us
building
now.
that chemistry.
Yeah, absolutely. Where were we? I think we've covered, right, if you want to hear about what happened at the Trnava game this morning at the training ground, which we weren't at, because we weren't allowed to be, watch back the previous one that's already finished. Let's talk about a little bit about this game, just to wrap this one up. It starts at, how long we got till kickoff? We've still got just under 2 hours to kick off. It's hot here, 33 degrees. As you can see, the whole pitch is bathed in sunshine. There's not going to be a lot of relief, so I think we're going to have a few drinks breaks for this. Your first observations of this ground was that it looks like a classic European ground from FIFA.
Yeah.
And you are spot on, my friend.
Thank you. Yeah, it's got proper kind of Germany vibes about it, which makes sense because we're in Austria. But I think that it looks like one of the generic grounds. I don't know if this just sounds like me rambling now.
Even this song sounds like it could just come straight off of
Yeah.
FIFA soundtrack as well.
You know what I've got? You see the training in the background? Looks like it's one of the. You know when you go and train, you can practice, go into practice mode on FIFA.
Yeah.
Looks like it could be in the background. So it's got, you've got the sun, you've got the Germanic generic FIFA ground that we're kind of in. I definitely can find that one in there, I'm pretty sure. And you've got the training ground as well behind. So
we've got terracing around three sides. Nice old school scoreboard right over on the other side, digital scoreboard. Big
nice
screen.
welcome for us
We've
over
got
there.
a countdown clock. 107 minutes and counting. It makes it sounds quite dramatic to have a countdown clock to a pre-season friendly. I'm going to predict the team for this based on the one that's played this morning. I'm hardly going all out here, but I think it's safe to say that Christian Walton will start in goal. Whether he'll finish in goal, we don't know if we'll see Kieran Slicker make his first appearance in an Ipswich shirt.
Yeah, he's
today.
been quite keen to get in there. He's been talking about how hard he's been working with the goalkeepers union, fitting in with all the sessions that they've done there, and I think he'll be eyeing up making his first start. I think it'd be nice to get him in goal in front of the fans as well. I think that's where you want to be, isn't it? When you're going to make your first start, you want to have some people around there to give you a bit of a cheer, which they probably didn't expect in the first game, but it looks like they got a bit of that anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, well, who else did we have? So we had Donatian at right back in game one, which would mean that Harry Clark, you would imagine, will be in this one. Wolfenden and Evans were the centre half. So what we're going to have, probably a bit of Dominic Ball at centre half again with
It's kind
Cameron
of like
Burgess.
a like for like, isn't it? That's the thing. You got the Evans Ball thing. I think McKenna's trying out this new midfielder dropping deep role to see how that works, and I think those are the two candidates, just seeing how they fit in these early games.
Yeah, they're going to sign another centre half, aren't they? And we know that Austin Trusty of Arsenal is someone of interest to Ipswich, but they know that that's an ambitious deal to get done. There are plenty of other clubs looking at him. Player of the year for Birmingham in the Championship last season, weighed in with a few goals, played pretty much every game on loan for them. So that's a difficult deal to do. Craig Cathcart, that they're considering as well, released by Watford, will bring a bit more experience to that back line. So whether this sort of central midfielder at centre half thing is something tactically they're looking at, or if it's just a stopgap, we'll see. Davis played this morning, so we'll have Greg Lee at left back. Luongo and Humphreys were the midfielders this morning, so you would imagine
The Taylor
Taylor and Morsey.
I think.
First time we've seen them because Morsey didn't
He
play.
didn't play last week, so it'd be my first time seeing Morsey in town shirt full stop. And Taylor obviously got a little bit of a run out last week, looked quite sharp getting into in feel of things. I think he was maybe drawn into a bit more of a physical game than he would have liked. He likes to be on the ball a bit. I think he likes to bring the ball forward. And you could see it was a bit scrappy last week. Maybe this will be more up his street
be interested to see that pairing. It's very difficult right now. If you were trying to predict the starting 11 for Sunderland, central midfield would be a really difficult one. Massimo Luongo finished last season in such fine form, but now we've got Jack Taylor in the mix as well. So it might just be which two kind of click and show a bit of natural chemistry. And yeah, Morsey and Taylor today could be interesting if we see those two together. I would imagine we're then going to see Burns, Chaplin, Kyle Edwards probably as the three behind the striker, and we know it will be Freddie Ladapo up front with no George Hurst here. Whether some of the players from this morning feature off the bench and kind of get some game time, or how that works, whether there's a few more youngsters here as well, we'll see. But there's going to be plenty of drinks breaks. It's a 90-minute game as far as we're aware. So, at the end of a really tough training week for Ipswich Town, you imagine, because I think it's been like this all week. This is proper minutes in the bank that's going to benefit them, I think, once we get into the depths of a championship season. Saturday, Tuesday, lots of travelling, pitch is getting heavier. This is when these weeks and these sort of games pay dividends, isn't it?
Yeah, well, this is going to be a culture shock for them going to Deepdale on Wednesday. It's going to be a slightly different weather, I would imagine, slightly different environment and slightly different opposition, but it's all about the regularity of the games. I think that's one of the things, I touched on it earlier in terms of how thick and fast that everything's kind of been planned out so far in pre-season. I think it's just about getting people up to scratch for what the championship is. It's relentless, and the fans will feel it as well. Trust me, when you've got a nice Saturday game that you've travelled all the way for, you get home late at night, or on Sunday if you stay over, you wake up and you think, oh, I've got to go again in about 48 hours and get ready to go somewhere else, or even if it's a home game, it can just be a bit relentless. It builds up. I think definitely Ipswich's squad depth is going to play a big part of this. Talking about the midfield partnership, if you ask me now, I think Morsey and Taylor looks like a good combination on paper, but it's just about having all those options there, because you can't just run these players into the ground. These are physical games, going to be demanding games. Yeah. Having the options there to bring in other players like Luongo, who we know can mix it at this level and could potentially start whoever chooses to go with. Just being able to have kind of like players who have done it in the Championship, it's going to be so big.
And the reality is there will be some injuries along the way. There was last season. Ipswich had to ride out a period leading up to Christmas with people like Lee Evans out for quite a while, Marcus Harness, Shawnee Aluko, Cameron Burgess when he smashed his face to bits for a little while. That you get those injuries along the way. Last season, Ipswich seemed to have quite a lot of sort of contact injuries and ones that you can't really account for, but you would, fingers crossed, touch wood, that they have a decent season injury-wise, because Jack Taylor had a season in the Championship severely disrupted by hamstring problems, but hopefully put that behind him last year, managed to rattle out the games for Peterborough again back in League One. Someone like Nathan Broadhead has always seemed to have little niggles and never far from a setback, managed to get rattled the games out in the second half of last season, so hopefully he's getting that bit of robustness into him. But you're right, over the course of the season it's about that squad depth, and I think something about the Championship, even though it's the same number of games as League One, it just feels more relentless in a strange way, even though you're taking the Papa John's trophy out of it and you're getting some international breaks and things like that. It's a step up in quality and intensity, isn't it? So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. This feels now like we're really motoring towards the Championship season now. So looking forward to this afternoon.
Definitely.
Much more that we can say about this game?
No, I don't think so. Flower Alarm are an interesting team. Flower Alarm Admira, one of about 80 different names they've had since they were formed. There's a bit up on the ADT now, if you fancy having a little look at their background. Nice young manager, 32, I think he is. No background in actually playing football. They've got links with Celtic they're going to try and form a partnership with. And I think overall, despite the fact they've not really had much in the way of kind of happiness in terms of being relegated and not doing too well in the second tier, it's still a nice test and still building things up. And I think that's a big thing in the sense that McKenna's kind of structured it, maybe with the exception of the Preston game going into the Cambridge-Stevenage split, is that the games are building up to be harder and harder. We're going to be back here in 2 weeks for the Innsbruck Cup which will be 2 Champions League sides against Town, which will be a really interesting test. They're only going to get harder from now on, and it will set them up well for Sunderland and beyond.
Yeah. Well, we'll be running the live blog as always during the game. Kicks off 3 o'clock your time. Alex will be bringing you a report on the final whistle. I'll go and speak to Kieran McKenna. Hopefully, we can speak to a player or two after the game as well. All the usual coverage on the websites, EADT, Ipswich Star, social media. You know where to find it all. Let's go and find a nice cold glass of water and get ourselves ready for this game. Thanks for watching.